This is a question that everybody's wondered at one time or another, so we're going to answer it today. Would you survive a hydrogen bomb? And if so, what would you need to do to make it out alive? We've got the answers for you. We know what you're thinking. If this question was asked 60 years ago, we'd all be dead. Well, it depends on how far away from ground zero you are. As the light from the explosion fades and you start to come back to your senses, your first instinct might be to run away from the city. But that's actually one of the worst things you could do. And direction. How far away you are from the explosion, and how much radioactive material was released into the atmosphere. Scientists recommend walking at least 50 miles away from the blast radius to avoid long-term health effects from the radiation. Luckily, you've been training for this moment your entire life thanks to all those zombie apocalypse prepper videos you've been watching. So you have all the supplies you need to survive the journey. Make sure you have plenty of water and non-perishable food, and always stay aware of your surroundings. But assuming you're 12 miles away from ground zero, the radiation will reach you in about 10 minutes. Ideally, you want to wear a gas mask or a respirator to filter out the radioactive particles in the air you breathe. Long sleeves and pants are also recommended as they provide an extra layer of protection. Finally, do you forget to pack some basic first aid supplies to treat any cuts or injuries along the way? Even if you live through the initial explosion, you're almost guaranteed to die from exposure to radiation. If you leave the city without proper gear, the best thing to do is to stay in your shelter for at least 10 minutes until the radiation levels drop below 100 run-in per hour. Let's assume you're about 12 miles away from the epicenter. In the first 10 seconds, you wouldn't see or hear anything. By following these tips and being prepared, you can increase your odds of survival. Just remember to stay calm, think quickly, and move decisively. And maybe consider investing in some zombie apocalypse prepper training videos just in case. Thanks for watching. Hydrogen bombs produce an explosion about 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. However, their effects aren't felt instantaneously like a regular bomb because most of the damage is done by the fallout, which takes some time to spread. A few seconds after the blast, however, the air around you would start rapidly heating up.
Within 10 seconds.
The temperature would rise to between 700 and 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot enough to burn your entire city. But luckily, you were smart enough to take cover. You remember all those times we told you to get under a sturdy table? Well, this is why. Staying under something solid increases your chances of survival by 5 times. On top of that, if you cover your head and face with a blanket or a piece of cloth, you protect yourself from harmful debris and increase your odds of survival to 30%. That's not great odds, but it's better than the less than 1 chance of survival if you had stayed outside with no shelter at all. But the good news is that technology has advanced quite a bit since then, and scientists have found some ways to mitigate the effects of a hydrogen bomb. The best material to use for your shelter is concrete, but it needs to be at least 3 feet thick. Building an underground shelter is best, but in case you don't have the time or resources to do that, building a reinforced concrete box above ground will do. Just make sure it's big enough to fit you and all the supplies you need to stay alive. The bad news is that they haven't found any ways to stop one from happening. So let's say a hydrogen bomb goes off in your city. What would happen? If you had taken the time to build a proper shelter, though, you would have increased your odds of survival significantly. Assuming you're still alive after the initial blast, what should you do next? Speaking of which, when will the radiation reach you if you don't move? It depends on a number of factors, such as wind speed. After the radiation passes, you'll want to get out of your shelter and start moving away from the city immediately. What should you wear? Anything that covers your skin will help protect you from radiation. In conclusion, surviving a hydrogen bomb is possible, but it's not easy.